Hello and welcome back to Science Hub. My name is Marian, Bănică, and today we are going to talk about sports science applied in business. We have a special guest, Virgil Stănescu, former basketball professional player and also a member of multiple businesses that involves basketball and sport. Good to see you, Virgil, and welcome to Science Hub.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Let's talk firstly about evolution of basketball, a sport that you've been involved more than 20 years or even more than 20 years. Tell me, how do you see the evolution in the last 20 years, considering mostly technology and also science behind this sport?
Yeah, actually, it's more than 20 years. It's almost 30 years. Now that you mentioned, I was thinking back, and I was looking back to see, like, it's actually 30 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm no expert, but I'm educating myself in that sense. Looking back, of course, is pretty much the same curve that we have in technology lately, and how we're able right now. Where are we right now with the technology and with science? Of course, having this luxury of big data, we already can look back, map it out, see that blueprint of basketball. Until now, until probably, like, let's say 10 years ago to 15 years ago, was more based on experience. Of course, also now it's a lot of experience involved, but now you can actually open the hood of the car. You can look inside, and you can look inside athletes, and you can look inside effort, and you can monitor, and you can have all those things that would augment sport. And basketball is no difference. I would see the evolution back when in the beginning of my playing time, was just the game. So you're playing the game. After that, you got to a point where you can scout the game. So you have the videos, and you can take parts of it, and you can cut out parts of the video. You're looking, mixes of games and parts and cuts you can do only if you're, like, specialized, and you have, like, all type of equipment to do a VHS that mm-hmm. take little segments of it. Later on, it got easier with DVDs and CDs and DVDs, because you can take just, like, certain parts of the game that you can analyze. So the scouters would do that. Same in practice. You would film yourself. You would film the practice or the motion of the players or things like that, where it evolved to a place where now it's easier to cut parts of the game, to analyze specific players, to take it from the big database, because then maybe you had one tape of an opponent team. Now you have every game. So it evolved to a place where it's more recorded, easier situation. You could watch it, but it was still based on experience to analyze it. Later on, of course, it was a huge trade of games and players, and to see, when you recruit the player, you send like anything you need to see that player. Like back, you're thinking, okay, I know Marian, and I saw his game. Now you get all the highlights of Marian. You have all the highlights, parts of offense, parts of defense. You can take an educated decision on that, and to see if it fits. So, by the end of my career already, it was like a, open
Just
up.
to mention, when it was your end of career?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
I stopped playing 10 years ago. So by the end of the career, this was just a normal part of the game. Just to have everything, video, recorded, everything. Now, of course, it's different again, because you can record motions and you have sensors and you have analytics. You can see, like, the statistics are so detailed. And when I'm saying statistics, also it was like from points made, shots taken, 2 points, 3 points, free throws, all kind of benchmarks of statistics. But now you also have motions, like the AI is drawing you the play that the team is making, or the sensors that it analyze the video and it shows you the play, which, for who doesn't know, plays are motions of players in the game that are like preset, and usually a team has around 30 to 50 offensive plays, like studied motion for each player. And now, the computer can analyze that and it can show you what the other team is doing. And you ask, I need to see offensive of this player, and it shows you the motion of that player. So it's so much easier to recognize the game and to recognize the patterns and to recognize the way each player has automatic movements. So you can find the answer. So that's just analytics on the game level, on how it looks from outside. But of course, it evolved also from the point of practice. Let's measure pulse, sleep, lactic acid. All the things that back in the day you could do it only in the lab. Now you can do it with a watch or with a ring. So you have the whole team monitored on the pulse, so the coach can say, okay, Marian is tired, he needs to step out, or Marian is not giving me the best, or Marian, or whatever. So it's so much easier to just take decisions based on data.
So the game has changed a lot in the last years, being just a normal game, passing the
I think it's
physical.
Too much said that the game changed. I think the preparation for the game changed. The decisions taken in the game changed.
Okay, let's discuss about the preparation phase. What did it change it in the preparation? Because of technology and because of the science that evolved also in basketball.
Well, first of all, you can position the effort to each player. So far we see progress, and we took exercises based on, okay, the whole team run 3 laps. The whole team runs 5 laps.
We see a photo on the screen. Maybe we can discuss a bit.
Yeah,
it's based on some reports that we have mostly from NBA games. It's powered by SAP, and yeah.
Yeah, like you see, okay, these are like basic stats of points made and percentage on points made. But for example, another stat of a shooter was that he touched the ball 1.5 seconds each time he scores. So he's not taking too many dribbles. So in average, he's actually catch and shoot. He's not going to create his shot mostly. He creates his shot before he's taking the ball. So you have all kind of statistics. But how that impacts the preparation for the game is that the preparation became personalized on specific metrics. It's different. Before it was also different if I'm running a 2.08 guy or a 190. But right now, also on the same level, I know where my pulse is. So I have to be in the specific area of the pulse. If I want to, create endurance, or if I want to create speed, or if I want, depends on the objective, I have the data that supports that I need to train in that specific level of pulse. And that's a real life thing because I can take it with a band, with a ring, with a watch. And so, for example, there are 5 areas of pulse. One is a normal, what we have now. 2 is when you walk fast, when you can still talk or a very slow run, is that level. 3 is when you run, you run okay. 4 is preparation. It's already sustained. It's almost sprint. And 5 it's performance. So a lot of times people were thinking that we need to train in 4 and 5 because that's when you're going to play. But it's not always the case. It's okay to create that's preparation for that specific segment. So if you're a sprinter, you're going to practice also there. If you're a basketball player, you're also going to have times when you're going to practice in that thing. But to increase a different type of resistance of I don't know, in aerob and anaerob. I don't know if that's the correct term in English.
Yes.
The coaches are training for specific zones in that. So now they have that, and they can check it out for me, for Virgil, and for Marian differently. Before we were all the same. So also motion. I was in a training complex in Switzerland where they had sensors and cameras in the whole thing, and they realized that in the hockey ring, the motion of the hockey players, in the software, they're like very circular of the hockey rink, But with the sensors and with the cameras, they realized that it's more up and down, that circle there. So they just retrain the software so they can, see the motion of the hockey players up and down to analyze, how much effort they put in, how much speed, how much time, and all that, so they can train specifically. So they didn't know that before. They thought that if the ring is, in a circle type of place, also the motion is like that. So based on your question, I'm thinking back that we have so much data right now. It's still way to go to analyze it because we don't usually, or we don't yet have all the keys to interpret the data, but it shows you a lot. It shows you a lot, and if you look in that way, you can take educated decisions based on particular level.
Are any specific technological tools or equipments that you believe that has significantly improved the player performance or team dynamics in basketball during the last 10 years?
Well, let's say individual performance, there are so many because it's a big wake-up call, the quality of sleep. We didn't have it that much before. Okay, you knew that you're going to sleep well. You need to sleep well and to rest. But you didn't know what that means. And now you can put the ring on or the bracelet on and you see the HRV, the heart rate variability. Or you can see your glucose level or, things like that. And how your body reacts to specific things. For example, if you drink a glass of wine, like people said, it's good to, a red wine, a glass of red wine. Well, it's not. If you look next day in your HRV, you see right away the spike of that. You see the impact that it has on your body. So, it takes away the myths that you thought, they're like okay-ish. But when you talk about high performance, each split second, I don't know, hundredth of a second, it matters, right? So what gives you it's the possibility of looking small and acting small, but analyzing big. You still need to be personalized on myself because I know what works for me might not work the same for you. But now with those gadgets, you can see exactly a real life response.
But what about team dynamics?
Also with team dynamics, because it can show you, it can show you data of the whole team. When does that team, how does it work better? Like when, for example, all the players, we see on statistics, each individual statistics, but doesn't mean that if a player that we have right now on the screen scores 20, is that okay for the winning of the team? Is that enough? Because the other 4 players, what are they going to do? Or the other 11 players in a team of 12? And so it analyzes how the best 5, for example, are on the court. You see on the teams when they score the most, when they got the less points in defense, or things like that. That you can analyze the whole thing. Second, you can see when everybody. Okay, I can see if you're tired, and that might be a lack of physical condition for you. But if I see the whole team tired, it's a problem with my training. So in the preparation of the whole team, you have a microcycle, which is the short term, mesocycle, which is the middle and long cycle, and in the long term. In the big cycle, you're like preparing for the playoffs, let's say in basketball. And you know that the playoffs are going to be in May. Well, then how is my training with the whole team in August the year before, in September, October, November, December, to take for these players to be in the best possible shape in May? Plus, like, what am I going to do the day before? What am I going to do 3 days before? What is the meal going to look like? What is the nutrition for that? Most people think that I'm going to eat some pregame meal. It's okay, but maybe the game starts 3 days before with the meals. So analyzing that on the team level, of course, it's being able to have that data to prepare for cycles and to make sure as much as you can that they're going to perform in the specific, you're going to have the peak performance right then when you need that.
Let's talk about player development. Everybody thinks that technology is all the time applied only to to professionals, but most of the young players are not necessarily going to play in NBA or NCAA or something like this. They are going just to do the sport for for pleasure or something like this. When it's the best to start to monitorize, and also when it's to monitor, and also when it's important to get the first insights, if that person is able to do the performance or not?
That's a great question, because of course in a lifetime of an athlete, when they start like for the passion of the game, you start in the schoolyard and you think that, I'm going to perform. I'm going to play. I'm going to go in the schoolyard and play basketball. Then I realized that I want more than that. Some things ain't going to add up. So I need to start training. Well, but what is training? Training is a methodology. But it's a methodology of everybody. So I'm starting training. Well, once you start training for your passion, regardless of the passion, and right now we're talking about basketball, so once you start training, you need to see how efficient you are in that training, regardless if it takes you to an Olympic level or, just for pleasure. Of course, it's going to be a different type of training, because if I want to have 7 practices a week, every week, this way I'm going to prepare for, it's optimal for the game, let's say. I don't know if that's a number, because it depends on the age. Of course, if you're 12, it's no sense to do 8-9 practices a week. It's not healthy to do 8-9 practices a week. How you decide that, it's also monitoring medically. So what would be a good number of practices? And at what range of effort and things like that. So of course, technology is going to help you a lot here. First, in analyzing rhythm and level, but second, in making interesting. Like it's easier now to create an environment of play in practice with technology, with sensors, with lights, with all kind of things that, it's gamification of the practice in a way that it's important for a young athlete and a young kid. Mm-hmm. Let's not say athlete yet, but for a young kid to keep it interesting. It's first thing, for example, it's learning them how to play within the rules. So it's structured play. Then, your competition, it is technology. It's the game on the PlayStation or on the phone or on whatever. So how do we make it interesting? How we take everything from these kids, because it's not just enough to throw them the ball. In practice. In the game, it's enough. That's the beauty of it. You play sports, you play basketball, you play handball, you play. But how you make them practice, how you transfer skills and knowledge to kids that age, only if you make it interesting, only if you make it through games, only if you debrief information that you learn from practice to the game. So, yeah, I think in this level, regardless of high level, high performance, because you're not talking there like split seconds. You talk there about how to make it interesting, how to make them understand the process, and how to show them progress. Through technology, you can show them progress really fast. Mm-hmm. It's easier than before when you're having progress just because you won the game. That's not progress. That's just attention to result. But in practice, you need to show them progress. So it's easier to show them a recording of yourself doing some obstacles, and 2 weeks later, how easier you do that.
Mm-hmm. How do you think we can improve the prevention of injuries by monitoring different aspects of their results?
That's great, because I was telling you about that center of preparation in Zurich that had scanners. They had 3D scanners for athletes. They had bone density scanner, and they had like posture and muscular and structure scanners. So when you see that, you realize that a big debate in the beginning was when should you start lifting weights, like physical mm-hmm. training, like muscle training. Is that okay? It shouldn't be too early, because, it stops your growth. Studies show now that, of course, not the wrong exercises. For example, bar in the back and do the mm-hmm. squats or something. No, not at that age. But specific that are monitored by trainers, it's important to start doing it early, 12, 13, because it impacts your bone density, which helps you prevent injuries. So that's also, science behind that. Same, we talked earlier about sleep. How much is enough? Like, what is your cycle of sleeping? How you regenerate the energy loss or whatever it happened. How you treat injuries, so it's not leaving scars, but it's get you back on track. So of course all this science, and it becomes better and better. And you see now, not only on young age, but you can see athletes like LeBron James or like Messi or Ronaldo. They're like, longevity of sport is so much bigger. Mm-hmm. Like they're 39 and they still perform like crazy, because they take care of their rehab, they taking care of their preventions, their their habits are the healthy ones.
So they are programmed to be perform.
Not only that they're programmed to perform, but they augmenting the process helps them become, just a longer life athlete.
Sport in general, it means also a lot of leadership. What can you tell us, because you've been also the captain of the Romanian national team of basketball for such long time. What lessons can you share with us about leadership in sport?
That's, this single question can take us the whole
Let's summarize
time.
it in.
Yes. First of all, what I think is crazy important, and it's important for who's listening to understand that a lot of people talking about leadership, and lately it's very, sexy word, but not so many talking about followership, because that's pretty much yin and yang of the same process, and there's not a person. Let's not start from the person that is a leader by position and follower by position, but the process of leadership. And the process of leadership is composed by both of them. I have times when I become a leader, I'm taking charge, and I have times when I know how to follow. So to follow whoever took the charge, because we don't have the competency of the process in that specific place. But let's start with a step behind, because leadership, it's also personal leadership. And it's how you lead yourself. And it's very important in an athlete's life to know how to lead him or herself. And why I'm saying that, because that's also the difference between coaching and coachable. You can become coachable, and you can become a better athlete or a better person or a better specialist in regardless of the area that we talk about by leading yourself, by continuous learning, by staying curious, by understanding that you have to become a better person, a better athlete, a better specialist. How you do that? You analyze yourself continuously and you lead yourself towards a better position. So first of all is this leading yourself, and that's being a continuous student to your craft. But that to get to the point, you have to understand your craft in sense of process of the craft, in sense of what takes you, what got you here, and is it the same that is going to help you get there, So that's a continuous process that has no stop. You have no pause thing. I had a coach that said that if today you stay the same, you actually fell behind, because somebody's going to get better today, So but that's all. If you start analyzing that, it's not you against the other person, but it's you against you. So I think leadership should start there. Then it's okay to lead by example. And your example is going to lead people, because if you have the right values, if you have the right ethics, if you have the right effort, and you put in that for the greater good, which is a common agenda, it's not a personal agenda, it's a common agenda of the whole team. So if you put that in the service of that, then you're leading by example. Then you can also be a vocal leader, because sometimes people don't like specific leaders because they ask too much. But if I'm putting 100% and I see that you put 60, you're going to know. You're going to know that you have to step up. So I'm going to have to make you understand that, for the greater good, you need to step up. How are we going to do that? Of course, in sports, it's a more of a direct message. Maybe in real life, you still go around the corners, make you understand, so you don't just put your shield up and not listen to anything. But that's the beauty of sport, because we align, and we know it's very well measured. In real life, you need to see how we measure these things. So I need to make you understand. So in sport taught me how to become that person that, first of all, I need to walk the talk. Actually, the whole 9 yards. You have to talk the talk, you have to walk the talk, and walk the walk. You have to also do something. Walk the walk is when you follow. You do something that you don't see that on TV. You don't see that in the statistics. You don't see on the bonus day. You don't see that every time. It's just you with yourself that you have to be there. And but still, I can ask you to give 100% if I'm not giving 100%. So that's walking the talk. And I with people that I work, I expect them to learn, to be curious, because I am the same. I learn and I stay curious.
But how do you manage to manage success in general in sport and also in success, taking in consideration mostly the team, not only yourself?
There are things you can change and things you can't. There are things that you can alter or help, and there are things that are beyond our reach. You manage the result, regardless of what side of the coin you are, by understanding process. And there were times when we lost the game, but we can walk tall out of that gym, head up high, and because you gave everything, but they're better. If you did what you planned, if you took the right decisions, if you realized that today this was your maximum, hey, why would you crawl out of the gym? So this is how you deal with management of these things, by looking back to understand more the process and what you can do better. I don't like half-truths, like we learn from mistakes. No, we don't learn from mistakes. We learn from certifying the mistakes. We're looking to see why we did what we did wrong. Just because you did something wrong, that doesn't mean you're going to do it right next time. You're going to do it wrong again if you don't look back to see, hey, how can I prove that? So you don't learn from mistake. You learn from certifying it. But you learn actually from certifying process, because you learn from mistakes or from winnings, from good things. It's the same. If you leave the gym thinking that you're good because you won the game, you're not becoming better. You just stay where you are. That doesn't mean good. That means good for that team that moment. That doesn't mean good for the next team, because it's a totally different game. So also when you win the game, you have to look behind and see, okay, what did I do good? So I replicate it. So I stay good. Because you're not 100% good. You're maybe in a better game, maybe you're 60% good or 51% good. Yeah. So, how you get a better position on that.
Yeah, I have a very big curiosity regarding you and what you're doing. How do you balance sport and life after sport with your education? I know that you invest a lot in education, and I'm very curious to know much more about this.
I was fortunate enough to be in systems that helped me educate myself. I left Romania to go to the States. And
when it was this?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah, in 90. I was 21. In 98. And when I went to the States, they made me study. When I left here in high school, I was mediocre, the most student. But because everybody was telling me that, sport is not, if you're good in sports, focus on sport. And I got to the States and already found myself as student athlete. First student and after that athlete. So I went through school with school mattering. counting. And I really love it. And I think actually that gave me the freedom. We have freedom, and when I'm talking about freedom, I'm talking about the available opportunities that you have. If I do sport, I realize that if I do sport, by the time I finish, I need to, be there, do the same for my family that I did the day before, but without playing. So without playing, there is no salary. So without salary, there is no fridge, full fridge for my people and for my family. And together with my wife, we have to take care of that. And so I realized that it's important to prepare stuff, to have the freedom of looking forward, who I want to become. Who I want to become from T whatever I finished the game to T plus one, So school helped me a lot in this process because it prepared me for this transition. Prepare me, if I want to become a great basketball player, I practice basketball. If I want to become a manager, I practice management. It doesn't help me that I practice basketball to become a manager. Yeah, it's going to help because I know I take some habits from my professional career, but I need to practice a different game to be able to perform in a different game. Most of people, unfortunately, think that education through the basketball lines is enough, and it's not, or through whatever field we do, and it's not enough. We have to prepare for the next step. And this is what gives us freedom to create this and to make our own transition in our terms, and not how we forced by something. Usually that's why a lot of athletes become coaches, is because that's home. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to translate just the medal. You translate the medal, you don't translate the process. And I learned that from a good friend of mine, Paolo Olteanu. He mentioned that to me, really like that, kind of stuck in my head that a lot of people translate the medals. Being good in something doesn't make you good in everything. So being good in basketball, it was because I understood the level of practice needed to be invested to become good in basketball. So what helped me a lot in basketball is that I realized what type of level of practice I need, not that practice. So I need to put this practice in something else, and I'm still doing that.
Okay. Tell me, how did you apply everything you learned from sport in your life after you finished your career, and mostly in business?
I was giving you this example earlier with what I learned from sport, and I say that publicly before also. I did a lot of shots in practice in my basketball career.
1.5 million.
Yes, something around that. So that helps me. That helps me, but how? It doesn't help me that I know how to shoot, because like I said, if I throw you a ball, you catch it to catch the ball. I catch it to shoot the ball, and that's a huge difference on the court. It doesn't help me today. What helps me today is the process. That I know I can take 1.5 million shots. To be able to deal with that type of routine of doing over and over. If you like how to cook, it's different if you're a chef or you just do your dinner. If you do your dinner, you invent something at the moment. If you're a chef, you have to do the same plate every day, every night, every evening, the same exact plate, north, south, east, west, plating, taste. You can't have more salt or less salt. That's the recipe of the plate. So a great chef makes the same plate. It doesn't make crazy plates every time, So that's actually the type of routine you have to be able to handle. So I know I can do that. And there's just one small part. So when I realized that there was just something that I did, basketball, and was not my life, I was able to take bits and pieces of this 20 years of basketball and put it in different boxes. And today, I can give them different names, but that helps. That I can do that because of the education. It's because, I learned how to do that. I learned how to put it in different boxes. I recognize different boxes. A lot of people don't recognize the difference in the boxes. Okay, I might have that. I don't even know how to debrief that, if I'm not educated. So I think education lets you see further. I think education helps you translate, and I think the simple fact that you invest that effort and it's conscious, it helps you over.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your project that you are running right now in Sports Hub.
Well, Sports Hub is a very nice playground for me. It's on 3 levels, and one is managing athletes. Mm-hmm. Managing athletes means to be in their team for public reasons, for partnerships, for public speaking, mm-hmm. for anything that involves their presence outside the court. So that's one level, high-level athletes. Second, it's called Go Scholarship, like mm-hmm. this.
Yeah.
That's our program of helping kids do sport in school. Mm-hmm. We aim for kids 14 to 18 to help them, and then it's an NGO that mm-hmm. has no commercial mm-hmm. Objective. Our only objective is to help these kids do sport and education and stay educated, become a better person, become a better human being, become a more complete adult. So right now we have around 37 kids from 13 different sports. It's very complex. It's pretty hard for us. Also, it's very costly. So we gather money from private sector to invest in these mm-hmm. kids. And also another layer is underneath that. If you think of pyramid, you have the athletes on top, you have the talent level in between 14 and 18. And 6 to 12, 13, we have kings and queens. It's an academy for multi-sports. It's basketball, handball, and volleyball for kids of 6 to 12. Where we're not looking on high performance, but we're looking on education through sports, and to help them understand things, help them stay curious, help them become agile, mentally and physically. Because if you take a sport and you do a sport, it's very asymmetrical. Mm-hmm. A lot of sports has some degree of it. For example, tennis, you strong hand and your backhand is just with 2 maybe, but it's not very symmetric. And early days, it's important for the kids to grow very harmonious, but also mentally. Mentally, if you're not looking in a cycle sport or a cyclic sport, that you have to do the same thing over and over, like gymnastics or like cycling or like swimming. Well, then if you do many reps, it's mm-hmm. okay. But if you go in a game, then you put somebody that you play against, then you need to find answers, and that has to help you quick.
So a complete program for anyone that is interested to apply also science and also technology in starting from 6 years to the end of their career.
At some kind of degree, yes.
Yeah, and maybe what you missed when you started your playing career. Thank you very much, Virgil. It was a nice pleasure to meet you. I hope that at this moment you have a better understanding about how we can use technology and science in order to achieve our results better by monitoring and also by using proven technologies and proven ways. My name is Marian Bănică, and you enjoyed. I'm waiting you for the next time. Best regards.